Welcome everyone.
Hello.
So today we're gonna try out something a little different for patch notes. We're gonna try doing a video patch rundown for people that are interested in getting just a little more insight into what changes are coming into the game and why they are coming. Most importantly, gonna be accompanied here today by Rolo. Pretty
Hello,
sure.
how's it going?
Yep, everyone here should know who it is. So this is the owner of Telos Realms, and I am Rojo. We are gonna be just talking about all the changes for 1.3 today, and also recapping some stuff from the past. I am currently working here as the lead game designer, telling you guys some more insight about the changes. So we're just gonna go into it immediately. First things first, why the video form? Just two main reasons. You can see it here on screen. Just better community engagement. You guys get to have more ways of seeing us on screen. And also, like I said earlier, to get the insight from us. So, moving on. Just a little small recap here for the
Oh,
series. All the things that we have introduced into the game before this update. We have a lot of returning players, as it tends to happen with Minecraft servers or but just varied games in general, right? People tend to be returning. If you haven't played in a while, there's actually a lot we introduced, and I would like to just quickly glance over it here with Rolo, if you can get us started.
all right. Yeah, so most players already know of these things, but if you're an old returning player, I think it's important to know about these things. So starting off at the top, we added a new type of UT. So for the longest time, even before Telos, we had the old server, which was called Rotten Sea. We always had three tiers for untied items. There was the Gilded, the Royal, and the Bloodshot. And the problem was there was such a huge gap between irradiated, irradiated and royal that um, it made a specific part of the game a really terrible grind, and that was the center, which is a very early area in the game. But once you actually grind the UTs from there, you're pretty powerful, but they're rare, and they're rare because they're quite good. So the obvious choice here was to nerf them a bit and make them a lot more common, so you can just get in and out of that area as fast as possible. Go to the next one. Just really makes the game a lot smoother. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of this main point for Gilded was that there is also a really huge gap in the performance of Royal UTs. Like, there were some really, really good Royal UTs. Even to this day, there are some Royal UTs that people consider to be bloodshot. Like, there's just some Royal UTs, like Crystal Boots, for example, were just long-standing some of the best items in the game. And some of them were just not that really used, didn't see much play. Making them Gilded also provides that better sense of progression for the players. That was one of the main changes that we have for progression, especially early to mid game. It's gonna help a lot. Moving on from that, we're gonna have tiered item priority. This was like kind of a underground change, one that people, mostly really hardcore Iron Man players, would notice. And that's that sometimes you would just kill the same boss trying to progress on Iron Man, like a realm boss or a realm dungeon boss, and you need to get tiered gear so you can make it to the next tier point, so you can actually be able to grind some dungeons. And what would happen? I would kill like Title 50 times and he would never drop the armor piece I needed for my class. It would keep dropping me like Huntress, like light or heavy, and I would be playing a mage class and it was like horrible. So now the way it works is that you always have a guaranteed tiered item of the type of armor that you're wearing. Of course, it's not gonna guarantee the one that you need. So if you only need a helmet, you might still get 50 chest plates, but at least you're always rolling the one that you could possibly need. Then moving after that, we have a new dungeon. More endgame content. This is pretty much classifies into endgame content because it's in the Shadowlands. It's a Dreadwood ticket. There's some mobs in the Shadowlands that drop it, and it's a pretty cool dungeon. It has, for the first time ever, I think we ever introduced into this game, a dungeon that has puzzles in it, like kind of things you can solve and do. Very unique UTs. Some of them still being some of the best in the game, like the one for Huntress that we're showcasing here. These are boots that basically save you from dying. Really cool design. Also, I think the only boss in the game that does not move, technically,
Somewhat, yeah. Yeah.
making him
Doesn't
like
walk.
the biggest like DPS sponge in the game. So it's pretty fun to fight. And then moving forward, we're gonna go to no more unfair quote unquote insta kills. So I think Chris can take over here.
Oh, yeah, I got a lot of speak about this one because a lot of it is technical. There's several things that we've done to make this feel more fair. Because in a permadeath game, a really important thing is that when you die, you feel like, okay, that was my fault. That wasn't just a stupid mechanic. That I saw that coming. I should have done something about it. So one of the things we've done is we've added a limit of how many things can hit you in one tick. A lot of bosses they have like ring attacks where they'll shoot maybe 8 or 16 projectiles. originating from the center of them and going out. And if you sat on that boss, you're going to eat 16 shots, you're gone. Doesn't matter how good your gear is, you're gone. We noticed that some attacks were worse than others, so was manually adding individual limits to some attacks so that they could only hit you maybe 4 times in one tick or something. But we figured out that the best way to go about it is probably just limit it to 3 attacks per tick globally. So you cannot take more than 3 instances of damage more than 3 times in one tick. I think that's going to help a lot because a lot of new players they don't quite understand that you shouldn't stand on something that's shooting 16 shots at you. It's quite obvious to me, but that's because I'm from Rotten G, like we expect these things, but it's just not a fun way to die, and it's quite demotivating. Another thing we've done for this is we've added a lot of indication to some attacks. Sometimes it used to not really tell you what's about to happen. You kind of had to be a veteran player to know how to dodge some of these end game boss attacks at least, but we've added like titles to tell you where to go and particles to like explain where you should walk and where you shouldn't. Another thing we've done to make deaths feel a little bit more like they're your fault is we've adjusted the hitboxes of projectiles. So the way projectile hitboxes work is a little difficult to explain, but I'll try. So they're actually all squares or boxes or some sort of cuboid. And that cuboid is always facing the same direction, no matter the actual direction of the projectile. So that means if a projectile is shot at a 45-degree angle, the hitbox is traveling to you as if it was a square, not a diamond. It should be a diamond shape. It should be tinted. It should be tilted on that same 45-degree angle. But that didn't happen. So if you had a square projectile going diagonally, you would get poked from the corners, and that would actually damage you. But now they are adjusted to be the exact same direction as the projectile itself. Makes things a lot more fair in that sense.
Yeah, one thing I would like to mention here, especially for players that, have been around for a while, the easiest example I can provide of this is the Onyx spinning attack, where the things he shot
Hmm.
that had like were really weird, like rounded edges and shapes
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
randomly
Yeah.
never hit you, even though it went right through you, or sometimes will just hit you for no reason, even though it was like
Two
50
blocks away.
miles. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like 50 miles away from you and would still hit you. So that kind of things got fixed, basically. That's the TLDR of how that change worked. Another thing to add to unfair insta kills, like people are returning. Seraphim does no longer one shot with beams, and you cannot stand on pepperonis and get stack them and just insta die from full HP.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that got
Yeah. There's no
changed
longer.
because they were basically jump scares, and while they're really funny for clips, they're not very healthy for the game. Especially like when you're in a permadeath game, you're making a lot of progression, and suddenly you just get one tap by something. It can feel really unfair. So stuff like that also
Hmm.
got changed before we got to this 1.3 update that we'll be discussing today. Another thing that we added here. So this would be hard modes. Chris, if you want to talk about hard mode, Sarah and Ulfanim.
Yeah. So currently, the goal is at some point we're gonna have all three of the top biblical angels, which is Seraph, Ophan, and the Cherub. So currently, we've only got two of them: the Seraph and the Ophan, and they were hard. They were difficult, but some players found them a little bit too easy because the gear they could drop rarely, which was the unholy items, were just so good that and we're going to talk about this later. The existence of softcore as well made it just such a breeze at times. So I wanted to add something that was optional, but also a lot harder and a lot more fun if you know what you're doing and you're good at the game. So we added hard mode versions of these angels, and they fit into the lore as well. They're kind of the strongest of that type, and they now exclusively drop the unholy items. It's the only place you can get them now, and they're at a increased rate. So when it used to drop from the original angels, we had them at such a rare rate because those dungeons, although they're difficult, they're being ran quite frequently, and I don't like super rare drop rates. So this fit right in just to make something that's really difficult, but then you can get the best thing in the game, and it's saying like a 1 in 100, not including all the loot boosts and stuff. So yeah, they were fun to do. They were really fun to do. But yeah, that's hard modes, I think.
Yep, this was mostly a change. I mean, obviously it's content, right? At the end of the day, this is new content. They do have new attacks and revamped attacks compared to the normal versions, but it's mostly targeted for endgame players, like people that really like min-maxing. They like going all in. This one's for you. So if you're one of those players and you are returning, more content, yippee. So moving into that, very important actually, probably our most important change in the entire recap is going to be regional servers. So Chris can definitely talk about this one for a little bit.
Yeah, here's another technical one. So we actually realized a lot of our players were either German or Polish, and the servers were all in Virginia. They're all in that side of America, and we had all our machinery, all our hardware there, which was quite unhealthy because this is a permadeath game. The projectiles are all client. No, they're not client sided. They're all server sided. Unlike a lot of other permadeath games where the projectiles are actually client sided. So even if you're lagging, the projectile will lag with you. But here it's all server sided. So what that means is if you've got high ping, you're suddenly getting hit by things that are 2 blocks away from you. So yeah, that's why we added a German server now for EU. We also added the one in Asia. We got the Singapore server, which should be close enough for Australians as well. We're actually considering maybe swapping it for Australia, but that is not confirmed yet. We're going to stick with Singapore for now. But yeah, it is a little bit of a shame because I think if we started with the regional servers, we'd have a lot more success at the minute. But it was something that was added a lot after a lot of people raged from having high ping and leaving. But that's fine. Better late than never.
I mean, yeah, you live and you learn, right? At the end of the day,
Hmm.
it wasn't done on release. It was an oversight, or maybe something happened, but now we have them, and they're very important and very cool. I would like to add that if we do see a giant player base, someone in from, I don't know, like Brazil, we might add a Brazilian server. So,
For sure, for sure.
all up for discussion. We are always listening to our players, and we would like to, if we end up getting this large player base from certain areas, and we can obviously manage the cost of adding a server there, then obviously we'll look into it. So moving from regional servers, going real quick into group buffs. Basically, we decided that this game felt like the most single player multiplayer game out there, which sounds like it doesn't make sense because it doesn't. A multiplayer game that you can see everyone on and you can interact with people on felt like you were always playing alone. Like you never really had an impact in other people aside from trying to DPS and kill stuff really fast. So I would say look forward to them, right? We're probably gonna be adding more too and more items that also do specific things for groups. But right now, the item we have here on the slideshow is the Chronos Heart and for Necromancer, and basically you just use this and you heal people around you. Like it's just very good. Obviously, it has a global cooldown to avoid 10 people stacking as necromancers and literally making the entire game super easy. But you can now BC with your friends and ask to be buffed, which is pretty sick. And honestly, it's quite funny. I've tried it, and screaming at your friends is always fun. So try it out, enjoy it. There's more to it, right? Knight has passive attack speed basically if you have a visage for people around you. So just a lot of things that make you feel like there's more people around you that could impact you, right? We're gonna build more into this actually going to later in the video. So now we can talk about Voided Omni. So Chris, anything you want to say about this?
Oh yeah. Well, the normal omnipotent, the base omnipotent, is probably the easiest, but also probably the coolest event boss dungeon in the game. It's just the way it looks, the sound effects, and everything. I mean, I've heard it a lot. A lot of people are actually saying it's a cooler boss than Onyx, which is quite high up in terms of like just the design and the sounds and everything. It all just plays into it. And it wasn't actually me. It was Bren, someone that makes our music and is very interested in the game. He always speculated that one of the characters that shows up much later in the game, which is in the third part of Shatters, it's this purple guy that ends up killing the Voided King. But this is like a huge lore in-depth thing. I'm not gonna quite get into here. But he speculated that that was actually a voided version of Omnipotent, and at that point, I thought it would have just been awesome to just make it its own boss, play into the idea, and yeah, next thing you know, we've now got a new endgame boss that is sort of on the same level as the angels we have, but is not an actual angel. So we actually see this avoid sort of substance or law appear in the game a lot of times, and I felt like attaching it all into this one boss would have been a great idea. And yeah, I think it's probably one of the coolest boss fights in the game, and it played out very nicely.
Yeah,
Decent items as well.
I agree. It has
Yeah.
some cool upgrades, some cool items. Very cool boss fight. Probably one of the most unique boss fights we have, just by the way the attacks work and stuff like that. Don't want to spoil it too much. Try it out yourself. Very unique boss fight compared to a lot of the other things we have. It doesn't really
Yeah.
feel very linear compared to other of our bosses. Not that that's a bad way. I think linear creates predictability, which also makes the game feel like progression makes more sense. But it stands out in a good way. Is what I'm trying to say.
It
So
was a time crunch as well. I think I made that whole thing in a week.
yeah, I remember that. That was quite the rush. Moving from that, we're gonna group the last two actually together. It's gonna be invulnerability, quote unquote, removal, and face skips. So Chris, this one's quite
Mm.
technical, so Chris can take over it.
I think one of the first feedback posts we ever got was to remove invulnerability phases. So for those that don't know, what that means is when a boss hits an HP threshold, usually around like 50% or 66%, something like that, it would usually begin getting ready for its next phase. The way I had it coded is that in order for it to go to the next phase, it has to finish the current phase, so they don't overlap and do some crazy stuff. So it would just stay invulnerable. It would wait till the current phase is finished and then move on. That kind of sucks because some phases maybe last like 10, 20 seconds even, and the boss is invulnerable. So there's nothing else you can do but wait and just sit at the corner of the arena or just run around really. So I went through every boss in the game. This was difficult, but I knew at some point I'd have to go through it. I went through every boss in the game, every phase, and just looked at where I could add checkpoints to check that okay, they've reached that HP threshold. We can just cancel every future attack. We can just stop its current animations. Its current code will just stop there and just straight away move on to the next phase. And to compensate for this, we've slightly increased the HP of bosses, but overall, it's just such a better experience because yes, bosses are faster, but also you're constantly trying to attack them. There's no waiting. You're constantly engaged, which is good. We want that. And on top of that, we've also gone through like a lot of the phases that made the boss totally invulnerable and instead gave it a damage reduction debuff. So it's a lot faster again, but instead of just waiting, you can now still damage the boss at a slightly decreased rate. I think it's at 50%. So when a boss is at this armored state, is what it's called, it takes 50% less damage instead of being completely invulnerable. So the damage is minimal, but at least you still have that incentive to just keep going at it. Just makes the game faster, more fun, more engaging. That's that really.
Yeah, I think like Rolo said here, this is one of the first feedback posts for sure. I remember so many complaints about this. It's mostly because I think there's two ways to this. One, a lot of the times you would just sit around and do nothing. Like I would legit alt tab and look Twitter, man, when like fucking Shadowflare, for example, was like evolving at 50% HP. I'm like, this shit takes 20 seconds. I'm just gonna like change my Spotify music or something and just
It
look at
adds
something
up. It
else.
adds up.
And then on top of that, it also just makes you kind of doze off, lose concentration. In a permadeath game, that's just not good. Because then you lose concentration for 1 second, you come back to the boss, and boom, you're dead. And that, even though that's not an unfair death, it kind of feels like it is because you kind of just got bored and died, basically, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is a really good change, really healthy change. Makes especially the mid game, I think, out of all bosses, like the mid game feels
Definitely.
the most rewarded by this change. Really feels like you always want to be pumping that DPS. These are really good changes. There's more. There's more stuff. There's like 10, 20, 30 more things here that got changed. A lot to do with drop rates, a lot to do with items, balancing stuff, classes. We could be talking about this for like hours. So we just made this tiny recap for what we consider to be some of the most important things from past updates. And now we're actually gonna start moving towards 1.3 and what's it's gonna bring. I think it's like 15, 20 minutes into the video. Only time we're gonna be doing this recap is now because we've never done this patch rundown before. So I think it would be good for all the returning players to just kind of get a glimpse of what was going on before that. So now we're gonna go to 1.3. Just moving up here, we have
Oh
softcore
no.
removal. The dreaded softcore removal. I think Chris, softcore has been around for way longer than I have. Softcore dates me. Like, you can talk about this first, and then I can say my own things as a player that got introduced in Telos release and experience softcore.
Yeah, so before Telos, when we were on Rotten Sea, we had Softcore and every other game mode separated. So Softcore had its own realm, and then everyone else had like their other realm. And splitting players like that is quite inefficient because you want to play with friends, and someone wants to play a certain playstyle, someone else wants to play another playstyle. They can't play together. They end up not playing at all. So sometimes you'd have Softcore realms that are totally empty. Sometimes you'd have the normal realms that are totally empty. Things are just not going well like this. Maybe if we had thousands of players, this sort of system could maybe work, but I would never do it. I would never do it again. I would never introduce softcore again because the fact is, I want people to always be able to play together. I don't want people to be separated. So just that alone, I'd have to put them in the same realm. And when you put them in the same realm, which is what we did at the start of Telos, we had quite a few problems. I think the worst one of all is trying to balance the loot rates because they were just too rare for a permadeath player, but way too common for a softcore player because you don't lose anything. And the reality is, we do have some exciting content, but it's not enough of it to warrant having a character that just can never die. So balancing loot between both of them is so difficult. So with the removal of them, things are just more common. It's just more exciting for a permadeath player. And the reality is the existence of softcore makes permadeath just a disaster to play. Another one of these things I want to point out is balancing in general, not just the loot, but the actual items. So a permadeath player usually will balance having gear that is centered around DPS, but also survivability. And when you're softcore, there is no reason to ever wear survivability because you've got nothing to lose. So you're going to run unrealistic, crazy DPS sets that no one else in the right mind would usually run. And that would cause us to constantly have to nerf these items to the point that if you didn't have a full DPS set, it was kind of not worth it. We were kind of getting to that direction. So a permadeath player would always really run survivability. And the softcore is just going to continue just running full DPS. And on top of that, another problem with that is we would see softcores just straight up just carrying permadeath players. Carrying wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was that they were just steamrolling it to the point where a permadeath player can't experience the game. These people are running the best the best sets, and of course they are. They have nothing to lose. It just makes the game just so much easier than it needs to be. So we can sit here and just constantly buff the HP values of bosses, but at that point, it means that if you are not with a perma crazy softcore player, then the game is just slower than it needs to be. We tried so much to make it work, man. I mean, God, I was the last person to actually agree that it needs to go at some point. Everyone was telling me we got to get rid of it, but I know we had a audience of softcore players. But as time went on, I'd see that they'd play for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, they'd have everything, and they'd quit. So I had to make a choice. We had to make a choice, and I decided that we need to get rid of softcore because there's so many. There's so many. Every other server is already a softcore server. So I thought I might as well try something new. There we have it. I think that's all I got to say about softcore.
Yeah, some things I would like to bring to this conversation, right, as someone that has been promoting the removal of softcore for God knows how long. It also brought a lot of other problems. Rel already mentioned an insane amount of them, and there's more. That's how you know, like, this game mode was actually like a headache. It was one of our biggest headaches in balancing for quite some time. One of them was also just the creation of new items. Not really one of the biggest ones, but also, making endgame items that could be abused by softcore was a real issue that we had to come up with when creating new item designs. Some unique items, like for example, making an item that makes you take damage, but you also deal way more damage because you're taking damage. Like stuff like that just couldn't really be implemented because like there's no trade-off for the guy playing softcore. There's no actual risk for using that item, so it would always be the best item you could use in softcore. Role already explained the game was honestly the game is just not big enough to support a softcore player base either. People will come in, they will play for a month, and they ran out of content. They got every item on like half the classes in the game, and now they just don't have to play. They don't have to do anything. So we did try many things. We tried even like we tried PD stuff. We tried like moving characters, item stuff. Back in the day,
Tried it all, man.
Rolla tried segregation for softcore. That didn't work out either. Like we tried. Well, what I want to say is like we tried. We actually tried so hard. It's just not possible. At the end of the day, the spirit of the game ended up being permadeath. There's not enough content for it to be softcore. And let's not even begin to talk about the amount of actual community debate having this game mode brought. Every other day, there will be a softcore discussion in general, a softcore fight, softcore versus permadeath, people claiming they don't know how to play or whatever. Like, it was actually insane to moderate. It was crazy to deal with. It would give anyone a headache. So we just had to get rid of it. Eventually, this isn't really news to anyone. Maybe it would be news for someone watching this video now, but if you've been around the server, if you've seen any announcements or discussions, all of these topics died because we pulled the plug months ago, officially, and so, all software players left. I do want to reiterate, and this also will be in the final patch notes that will be written, that people that had high playtime, high achievements in software will be rewarded for their time in the server. We don't want it to feel like we just backstab them for no reason. Like we do appreciate the players we had. As a game owner and also as a game designer, you have to sometimes take decisions that are better for the long term of health of the game, rather than, in this case, would be appealing for this player base and trying to make it fit for them. But the main point that I do want to bring here is that we did try. Like you can see the history, you can see the patch notes, you can see the announcements. It's all there. We tried. We really, really tried. So, if you were a softcore main, if you love softcore, I'm very sorry. It's gotta go. And so, with that being said, I think that's all of it for the softcore section. This game mode probably never coming back in the future. It was fun while we had it. It did its things, but it's gone. So, moving forward, we have now. Oh, this was a good one actually. A lot of people asked for this. The death of the Nexus item, and some extra hotkey shenanigans. So this is very technical. Chris can speak first here.
Yeah, so as a Rockman player myself, I know how important it is to be able to get to safety the second you feel like you need it. And the fact that Nexus was a button in your hotbar made it so just difficult sometimes when you're under that anxiety of a difficult boss to actually get and click it at the right time. It's just when you're in a close call, it's just not fun. You just want to be able to click a button and instantly go. You don't want to have it hovering in your hotbar. You just want to click something and you got to go. But the problem is, it's not that easy to create hotkeys in Minecraft. It is not just a coding issue. It is just the limitations we have with unmodded Minecraft. The only hotkeys we can really use offhand swap key and the drop key. Those are the only two. So that is F and Q, unless you've changed them. But those are the defaults. And we already had F occupied to mounts. We already had Q occupied to potions. And potions are also extremely important to be able to use at any time. But mounts, not really. So what we've done there is we've moved the mounting to right-clicking the Adventurer's Obelisk, and we've just gone ahead and moved Nexus to the queue. So anytime you try to drop something, that's it. You're in the hub. You're in the hub. You're good to go. And we've also added this nice little message here: when you're lower than 100% health, it will tell you where you Nexus at. So I know that's going to make some close calls exciting. When you end up in the Nexus, you can just see that you spawned at 1% health. I don't have too much to say about this one. Those are the main points.
This one brings up an interesting point about Minecraft limitations and how sometimes we just have to compromise. As you're gonna see now, mounting is slightly more annoying. What do we get in return? Nexus is instant. So yeah, it's a trade-off that you do have to make. Like at the end of the day, it's not perfectly better because mounting is now slightly more annoying, but it is better for everyone, and it is what works the best. So yeah, keep in mind, a lot of people. I don't blame them, right? They're not the ones working on the game, but we sometimes we are limited by Minecraft in some aspects, and this was one of the main of them. As you can see in the image below, by the way, for people that really like offhand swaps, we have a toggle for that. Anyways, I personally use it a lot. Very important for me. So I will definitely have this on, but just a player to player thing. Also, we changed stickers. Now it's crouch right click with your obelisk, which is also like, again, slightly more inconvenient, I guess you could say, but it was like these are mounts are something that you're never summoning when you're in a pinch, and stickers are just like something you do for fun. So they weren't priority as, being able to go back to the Nexus immediately. So
Yeah.
this was a really much needed change. Should make everything a lot more player friendly and also intuitive. There's an insane amount of clips. If you go to clip submission in our Discord, of people that just start tweaking on their keyboard, pressing every key in their number hotbar except the Nexus, and then it's like literally just dying. It is pretty
Yeah.
funny. It's undoubtedly super funny, but it's also not very healthy. So now that's not gonna happen anymore. You're gonna tweak out and start spamming 7, 6, 5, 4 until you actually get your Nexus. You just press Q or whichever your drop button is, and it will be out in no time. That's it for that. Now we're gonna go into seasons. Actually, I'm gonna start with the first prompt here. W word, the dreaded word for everyone that plays permadeath games, and they keep asking for it like it's like solution to all problems in the world.
Yeah.
Wipes.
I mean, it's just Minecraft culture to want to wipe every time people just get slightly ahead of you. It's normal. I don't blame them, but it's really destructive. It kind of destroys the feel of getting something good when you know the server owner can just turn it off and start over and bring in another 300 new players that are probably going to quit in a week because other people are going to get ahead. But it builds hype. I get it. Wiping does build hype, but I really dislike the word or people talking about it. It's not something I ever want to do, but I understand that as time goes on, the economy gets more and more inflated, and that kind of warrants a wipe. But that is kind of why we came up with seasonal. That's one of the reasons, at least. So the way it works is it's like playing a giant group Iron Man with other seasonal people. So when you gain fame and you die, on a seasonal character, it converts into seasonal glory rather than normal glory. And when you use the auction house on that seasonal character, you're actually going to open a separate auction house that's completely different to the normal one. and you'll only see items listed by other seasonal characters. And when you buy stuff on there, you're using that seasonal glory. And when you trade with other seasonal characters, you're also using seasonal glory. So it's basically a new economy. So it's sort of the effects of a wipe. And we don't really know exactly how long we want seasons to last. Probably like around 3 months for now, but it could be halved later on. But we're just experimenting. So far, we're just starting off with 3 months. So when the server actually opens on the 28th, what we're going to see is probably a lot of people are going to jump on this seasonal grind. They're going to just kind of forget about their normal characters. We're going to see a fresh auction house with no items, and it's just going to feel like a wipe, feel like that release day hype. And at the end of the season, your seasonal characters just turn to normal ones. They're not wiped, they just turn into normal characters, and any seasonal glory you have turns into normal glory, and you can continue playing like nothing changed. Or if you want, you can compete in the next season because, yes, it does have its own leaderboards that changes every season.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it's very cool. It's like Rolo said here. It's basically an economy flush. You know, people that do love this word, the Y word, the W word. It feels like that. It really does feel like that because every let's say you played for 20 days, right, and the season lasts, let's say 90, right? That's 3 months. So you played maybe 1 month, and then people got ahead of you, and you got mad at whatever. You know, you had finals, you had to leave. You couldn't play. You can come back for the next season, and it's gonna feel like day one again because new auction house, new leaderboards, new characters, nobody is ahead of you. So for those people that like returning, as the name says, by seasons, this is perfect for you. I do actually want to encourage people to mostly play seasonal. Try it out. You know, let us know what you think. Normal's always gonna be there. Some people will obviously prefer normal, but I think moving forward, most people will probably just play on seasonal, try to flex the leaderboard spots. You know, try to get that number one most fame gained on the seasonal mode, so you can be immortalized in the leaderboard. Always pretty cool. Also, we're gonna tie it to other things, the season pass, which we'll be talking about after this one, after this slide, and also unique content. In this case, this is gonna be the season of Raphael, right? So because of that,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting the new content, which will be Raphael, which we'll be talking about shortly. But basically, seasons will also be tied to new content. We would just like release a season with nothing on it. It will be the season of something, which means that every time a new season drops, there will be something to look forward to, not just a full-on reset slash wipe, however you want to call it. Also, last thing I would like to say here is that it does bring more seasonal XP for the season pass for people trying to look forward to filling it out as fast as possible, or just trying to get it out of the way. So we were talking about that next. Actually, we're gonna move into that now. So this is the season pass. I think
Oh,
Chris
yeah.
can talk about this first, and then I'll go second.
Yeah, I want to talk about how you got 3 character slots listed twice there. Now you can ignore that. Let's move on.
There's three.
So,
There's three actually.
wait, well, there's meant to be well, there's meant to be 3 stash slots. I didn't even notice the third one, but I guess he just really wants to tell you that there's three character slots. So, all right, I'll start off by saying the main reasons we added this. So, a lot of servers have a voting system, which we don't have, and we'll never have it, because the point of voting is to boost your server on these like Minecraft server websites. When you type them on Google, they come up, and then you can just find the server. But the top spots for these websites, they're just bought and paid for. So you're already fighting a losing battle, and really no one really uses those websites anyway, let's be honest. But from the player's perspective, it kind of acts like a daily login reward. It's like something to look forward to. You want to log in. It's like, oh, I haven't voted yet today. I'm gonna get some crate keys or something. Yeah, so voting's kind of useless, and for a player, it's annoying. It's a nice daily login, but it is annoying to just go on this website and do all that. And the season pass sort of offers that daily login reward because yes, you gain season pass XP just by killing stuff, but there is a cap. There is a cap on how much you can get every day. So once you reach that cap, that's it. You can continue it tomorrow, and I think we've calculated it. So the season is 3 months. If you play every day and you hit the cap every day, I think it's in 1 month you'll be able to have the pass. But that's if you get on every day. Another reason we wanted to add it is it's a nice way, I think, to give players character slots and stash slots and just other useful stuff. So I could put those in crates and they could get lucky and get it, but I really like the idea of putting it in a season pass because it's with minimal effort. If you just log in every day and play a bit every day, you're going to get what you deserve, a nice character slot, which is probably the most useful thing in here, I'd say. And there's several of them. And the final reason that I think we added this, that was discussed privately, was that we wanted to play around with cosmetics. We wanted a way to just give people cosmetics that they could just purchase, but I didn't really want to fill up the shop with all sorts of different random cosmetics. It just wouldn't really fit. So I think having a paid season pass, having it so that's where you get the majority of the cosmetics. This screenshot here is not an amazing screenshot. We have no cosmetics in the golden parts, but yeah, most of it from the bought season pass is cosmetics. And we also wanted to play with the mount and pet skins. We never had anything like that before. It was requested quite a bit, but you could never really have a skin that you liked on a good pet. So we've decided, right, we're adding this pet skin. We've got 2 in the current pass, but the way it works is you select a pet skin and it's going to inherit all the characteristics of your current pet, but it's going to keep that nice pet skin. So here we've got like a mini true seraphim. It looks a lot cuter in game. This picture is not doing it justice, but that is one of the premium rewards. But yeah, that's the season pass for me.
Yeah, so though, I mean, to begin with, the reason why free characters lost is put in twice, obviously for comedic effect. Real reason is that one of the most, like, requested things in the feedback threads for the entirety of Telos release was, please give us more than 2 characters lost. Yes, you can get 3, relatively easy if you grind, but even 3, when there's 6 classes, feels a little low. So now, you can get more for free. Just play the game, you'll get more eventually.
Yeah, just log in every day. Yeah.
Just log in every day, just get your your XP there, and you'll be getting more character slots so that you can fill up your account with more characters that you like. The cosmetics are gonna be cool. They're already cool, like the ones we have, but we're probably gonna see how players receive it, what they would like to see next, and make more if people want more. Pet and mount skins are also really cool. I personally always wanted a mount skin. I feel like a lot of people, for example, grinded specific 500% flying mounts just because they liked how it looked, like Dragon Serpent. This kind of solves that issue, where even if you get the 500% mount that you don't like, you can always get a skin for it and have it look the way you like. For pets, I assume it's going to be 50-50. It's a lot of people that just like having pets disabled for the most amount of visual clarity when playing. But also some people would just like to see, a mini Seraphim pet walking around. I think it's going to be really, really fun to watch. I personally am not one to remove pets, like make them invisible. But some people are, so it just depends on what kind of player you are. And also another important part, like 80% of the pass is free. You're mostly paying for cosmetics if you pay for the pass. The majority of the pass is free. Like a big part of the pass is free. It's meant to incentivize free to play and actual pay to pay players that want to spend in the game. People that want to spend into the game can get some nice cool cosmetics and some extra cool rewards. It is mostly just free to play friendly season pass. It's just like here's things that you will definitely use actually. So take them. I think that's about it for the season pass. Moving forward to one of our biggest new system introductions. We haven't okay, I don't think we've had one of these in Telos up until group buffs, but this one is way more in depth and way more important. So this one's gonna be Transcendence. I think this time I'm gonna be speaking first. So Transcendence is gonna be our quote-unquote an innovative system for introducing roguelite into our permadeath here bullet hell server. How's it gonna work? Basically, before you died, you lost literally everything. You lost all your XP, you lost all your items, you lost all your stats. It was so annoying to get back on track. Experienced stack players would be able to fill their stashes with potions and get back on track almost immediately. But even that had its limits. You could really only have enough potions for maybe 2 up to 3 characters if you were really like seasoned and a lot of things saved, but the potion grind always felt so bad. It was also a lot of inventory clutter. It was just like, it just felt like it was just there because of no reason. Like it just felt like it had to be there. So we got rid of it. No more potions. Now you have Transcendence. The way it works is every time you do anything in this game that awards you fame, it also awards you this thing called soul points. Soul points are 1-to-1 fame, so I get 100 fame, I get 100 soul points, and you can use them to level up your Transcendence. As you can see in this screenshot at the bottom left, level 6 Transcendence requires 250,000 soul points. This will be 250,000 fame. Honestly, not even hard to get. I think at level 6, you get basically up to the point of which you would have been before this update with max pots on your class. So at 250,000, you now have permanently unlocked your stats or your human rights, whatever you want to call it for the class. Like you get to play the game. Why? Because a lot of the potions felt super necessary, especially stuff like speed and health. But it really felt like the game was not playable if you didn't have them, and it felt really sluggish and really bad if you died and didn't really have these potions to fill it up with. That's no longer the case. I'm on my character. I died. Unfortunate. I suck. Spawn in, all my stats are here. I just gotta get my items back. Maybe I have the seasonal glory. I buy them off the auction house. Maybe I just have it on my stash, and I'm ready to go. No need to sit down and hop and do slash out guys, who is selling potions? Please, please, I need this. And nobody replies. It was never nice. So that's gone. That's gone. You can now get back on track as fast as possible. Basically, you will be able to level up your Transcendence here. It should, like I said, feel like the game is a lot faster. You can jump back in a lot faster. And as you can see there on the screenshot, there's also another thing that says +1 skill point. We're going to be talking about this in the next thing, but we're going to introduce a skill tree to the game to make it feel more fresh. Other things that Transcendence brings you. Oh, I also forgot to mention, right? These upgrades are for every single class of that type in your roster. So whether it's Iron Man or normal or seasonal, you have 3 different knights. All 3 different knights share the same Transcendence. So you don't have to worry about making like a new Iron Man after you play seasonal. Right now you want to try out this Iron Man, grind everything yourself. You still have the Transcendence there, and you'll be able to use it, and it will feel like you have this advantage because you played the game before, right? It will feel fair, which is what we're trying to aim for. Also, if you manage to fill out the Transcendence entirely for a class, reach max level, first you'll get a nice cute little message in the chat announcing it for everyone to flex, right? Guys, I'm really good. And you also get a buff to your entire account once you maxed out every single Transcendence, but also each one will give you, I think it's 3% or 2%. How much is it again, Rolo? The loot percentage
The loot
when you get
boost?
those? I believe it's
Yes, so the
3.
most you can get from Transcendence is 3. It actually could be 4. I don't have it on me right now, but you have to reach max Transcendence to get 4. You get it throughout Transcendence. So I think level 3 or 4 gives you the first one, but that means that you can quickly get the first percent loot boost on Knight, for example. You have it on your whole account. Now you can go play Huntress, get another 1% loot boost on that very easily, very quickly. So I think the max is 4, and that would mean that we have like 28% if you do all the classes.
Yeah,
Or 24, 24.
something like that.
Yeah,
It should be
it's
around
good. It's
20.
permanent.
It's like around 20% permanent loot boost for your entire account. It's pretty insane. It's pretty nutty. And also,
Yeah,
if you get all 6 Transcendences max, you get a 20% fame boost, which makes leaderboard grinding and just having money in general a lot more efficient than
yeah,
everyone else. It also upgrades your
yeah.
starter mount. You know, for those that are fans of the Rolo mount, classic Capybara, it now starts evolving every time you max the Transcendence class. And when you max when you max 5 out of 6, it matches that of an exotic pet or mount. And when you have 6, it actually surpasses an exotic pet or mount, which is
Yeah,
pretty
it's the
cool.
best in slot.
It's best in slot if you max all 6 classes. So yeah, that's I think most of it for Transcendence. You know, like I said, just a quick recap. You get everything back way faster. You can jump into the game. It's shared across all of your characters of the same class, and it also has account-wide boost. And you know, it's just gonna be really, really nice. It's gonna make the game feel a lot faster. So talking about the skill points here, we're actually gonna go and move to skill tree. This is a big one. This is probably the main point of the entire update and everything building up to it. And also, why, like, probably the main reason why it also took like 6 months of development. This
Yeah.
is a big one. So, Chris, if you want to go first, or I can do it, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'll start off. So you get these skill points through the Transcendence, as previously mentioned, and you get a max of 6. And then you can spec into one of 2 trees because these trees are based off of the abilities the class has, and each class does have 2 unique abilities. So for Samurai, you can either go Stars or Kunais, and these aren't just regular nodes in like a skill trees I've like seen in other places. For example, it's not just 2% extra damage or like 2% extra range or something like that. But that was actually what it almost turned into. But then we scrapped it and we said, you know what, we're actually going to make it a lot more interesting. So the nodes are designed to give you different ways of playing the same class. So just kind of completely changing the playstyle at times. And again, it's not just by increasing damage or they are very conditional. Some of these nodes are very conditional. So, for example, we have for Samurai, one of the nodes here is that you'll have like a special star when you use your normal star, and it will bounce off of enemies. And now, if it hits you, it will bounce again, doing increased damage. So now you're trying to like bounce this star. If you're ping ponging the star to the enemy and then towards you, it's pretty sick. We've got like a lot of clips on it in the Discord. Another one I really like is that with Arcanist you can have double the amount of duels, but then you have like other downsides. So a lot of them will give you something really nice, but then take a little downside. So you're like a little bit more squishy in some way, but you're also dealing more damage in some way. And it will make some items a lot better than others. For instance, we have some nodes that will activate on ability use, and that will automatically make lower cooldown abilities more useful because you can proc it more often. But we've done a lot of balancing to like equate for all this stuff, but changes the playstyle a lot more than just having different items. So there's a lot more variety now.
This one is big. We like Rolo said, we talked about this, and it usually was like, oh, this now you deal 10% more damage with jewels and whatnot, and then we scrapped all of it. And we're like, no. We can do way better. We can do way cooler. Please keep in mind, basically everyone working on this has literally no past previous game design experience. So like we came into this fully blind. Like we were like, let's just make something cool for our game and see how it works out. And it took us a while. It was a lot of work. It took us a while, but we are pretty happy with the results.
Yeah, I would say each tree I think took like 2 weeks of just constant sitting on Discord, like matching damage values, like seeing if things work. And something important I want to say is that a lot of these nodes are designed to synergize with each other. Now, this is very much inspired by the Binding of Isaac, but a lot of the nodes are like designed so they will complement each other in like unique ways.
That's correct.
Yeah.
We had that was one of our main decisions, design decisions in mind. We wanted the tree to feel like a tree, right? Like they connects to each other. It connects back to its roots. A lot of different playstyles. You can play full DPS now better than before, but by doing that, you're probably giving up the tree that will give you a lot of defense or vitality or survivability, even invulnerability. There are some trees that do that. Stay tuned for a lot of those. You don't lose this ever on death. Whatever soul point you get from Transcendence, permanent. You can reset anytime you want. Just go back to the hub, press the reset button. You can see it there at the bottom left, that big R on red. Just click it, and now you can select again any skill tree you want, any combination you want. It's 156 nodes between 12 skill trees. It's pretty cool. I think it's the main reason a lot of people are gonna come back to play the game. Actually, like, we have a lot of nice changes, but this one's flashy. You know, people like the flashy stuff, right? They will see like, wow, you can do this, you can do that now. Really flashy. It just really keeps a player engaged. So I think if many people are coming back, it will definitely be for this. Again, like Rolo said, many cool combinations here to be had. A lot of them playing to each other. It's not perfect, guys. I do want to preface this. Like I said, small team of people that have never really worked on anything like this before. Please give us feedback. I'll be listening to all of it. That's my main job here, and I'll be working on it. I'll be making sure that if we have to improve certain things, I know, like out of 156 notes, some of them are bound to not be as flashy or as good, and as the update lives and goes on, and we'll see players are getting used to it, they would probably develop metas, right? Like, what's really good, what's really bad, and we'll figure it out from there. But we're always listening, and we're always paying attention to the player base. One of the things that we proud ourselves the most, right, in this server, like a lot of people come in sometimes and say like, wow, I've never seen the owner of a server type. This guy lives in general chat. He might be addicted to it. I tell him, yo, you gotta go code. And he's like, actually, with this generation, like the general chat is so funny. And he's like, okay, well, whatever. Here's a little, video showcase of one of the nodes, from Necromancer's Skulls. Just summons little skulls around you that buff you. It's pretty fun to look at. Very like addictive right now. I'm just looking at it and it's like, wow, just keeps going and spinning.
But I want to point out, like for this one specifically, like the way this node works is that the more times you hit, you'll have skulls spawning around you. You get a maximum of 4, but the next time you get hit, you'll lose them. So this incentivizes like, okay, the Necro is a class that can get hit a lot because it can heal a lot. But with this node, now you're trying as hard as you can to never get hit. It's there's a lot of little things like that that will just sort of change a little bit how you're playing. Another Necro node I remember now is that you can choose between having something happen when you are at max HP or have something happen when you're like below 50% HP. So I forget exactly what the nodes are, but it really can just change how you go around to play the game. You can play a little bit riskier for like more rewards. Or
Yep. So, that's 2 examples out of 156 again. So please look forward to it. Like just log in, just try it out, try different classes, try different trees. Tell us, try different combinations. Tell us what you think. We're always more than glad to hear you out. So I think this is the second to last slide. Skill tree is a lot bigger than we talked about, but again, for the sake of this video not lasting 2 hours, and also because we also just want you guys to check everything out by yourself. We're just gonna cut it short there and go and move to Raphael. Is that how you say it? Raphael? I actually don't know.
Raphael,
Raphael. Okay. So
I look, man.
yeah, this
I
is
just
for
gotta.
Chris.
I'm just looking at this now. I'm just starting it off already, man. I just gotta say, Rotten G was like my childhood game. Okay, I literally have like over 10,000 hours on it. It's literally all I played from like 13 to maybe 18. on and off a bit after that. Started my YouTube channel on it and everything, but before I was completely addicted to Rotten G. The main game was Minecraft and Terraria. That game's got a special place in my heart, but um, Minecraft was just iconic for me, and I've been making servers since I was like 12. But I really wanted to see like a 3D version of Rotten G, so I started developing this entire project maybe like 5, 6 years ago now, and the whole idea was that we are just gonna make a 3D version of Rotten G. Um, I started developing it mainly with this plugin called Mythic Mods. It's kind of funny. We're always memeing about it, but it's got us. It's quite buggy, but it's gotten us quite far, and it's responsible for like all the content in the server. It's pretty awesome. But anyway, as time went on, actually kind of started to hate the idea that people would call this the RONG in Minecraft, because I kept removing mechanics that I implemented that were just specifically from ROTMG. I just kept removing some of the mechanics because I just felt like they were bad, and I was over time remaking the story, remaking the lore into something I think is a lot cooler. And you know, as time went on, I could see so many of the issues that are in ROTMG and how I'm constantly having to change this game that's heavily inspired by it to make it more, fitting for the audience that it's developed. And a lot, like, we never stole any code, we never stole any sprites, any models, or any art, but very clearly you can tell that some of these bosses are very undeniably inspired by Rotten G, and the most iconic one is Onyx. That was the last one that we never removed for a long time. It was just such an iconic part of the server in general. And with this update, he's gone. We're removing it. He's replaced by Raphael, and he's just a drag and drop replacement, really. But it's more than that. It changes a lot of like the lore of the server. It's a much more enjoyable fight because Onyx is quite an outdated boss fight for like the level of boss fights I've been making recently. Thematically, the lore is going to fit a lot more into this boss. It's a much more fun fight, and yeah, I think now that we've added this one, we can. I don't think we have anything really that you could look at and be like, oh, that is just from Realm. Not anymore. This is the last one. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I haven't been here for that long. Rolo has been here for 5 years. There's still people here that have been for the full 5 years, like Toby, for example. Pretty sure Hendrik also has been around for that long, but I haven't really been here since the start. I'm not even big into Realm of the Mad God, like a lot of people that actually play this game. I have a couple hours on it. I tried it out. I didn't really like it, but obviously we are, we at this point and update, we're basically paying our homage and saying goodbye to inspiration that the server originally had, and moving into a clearer, more unique direction for both our game design and our game development. Mostly because, it does feel bad when you're making a unique product and they just keep calling you clone of X. It doesn't really just apply to Realm of the Mad God. There's millions of things out there that probably feel the same way. Telos is its own thing now, right? It's our own thing now. We're doing our own different spin on the things, like skill tree, right? That's very unique, very original here for what the type of server we're managing. So we just wanted to stray away from it. And this was the very like big last thing that we needed to do to really send, like, just say our goodbyes to Realm of the Mad God. So yeah, look forward to it. As Rolo said, that fight, even though it was super cool, I think one of the most iconic ones in the server for sure, still felt outdated in some regards. Not anymore. Look forward to the new boss fight once it releases on June 28th, and try it out. Let us know what you think. We think we did a pretty good job. A lot of faces are super unique. The new animations, especially, I think mostly in the animation department and the like attacks department, is just very, very cool. New lore for the people that are lore heads into the game. The 10 of you. You guys also get new lore, so enjoy that too. With that being said, just the last segment here. Extras, actually. So you could technically put this in the small recap at the start, but it's not a small recap because it's with the new update, so we're putting it here. Just a bunch of things here. I'm gonna go through them really quick. So this thing here about less annoying debts, that's an oversight of mine, but basically this was discussed before. No need to talk about it. Server is now 1.21.6. Pretty self-explanatory, newer version of Minecraft, easier for us to work with a lot of things that get updated. Resource pack loads faster. This is a big one. Also, resource pack should work better on lower end machines, right?
Yeah.
This was a big one. A lot of people, especially the ones playing Minecraft, that really tend to have the best PCs. We cut down resource pack loading times a lot, and also it should load better on machines that are just not that strong. You can now pick up other people's items in the same group Iron Man instead of having to always use /trade. This was just like, it's just a quality of life. This was a pain in the ass as someone that played group Iron Man. It was really annoying. I'll be able to just throw items to your friends. Character slots and stash slots from crates are now physical items that can be traded or auctioned. If you win the lottery, you can now sell your ticket. This is what it means. Like, if you win your lottery ticket, you can now sell it. You don't have to use it. Some people have a lot of character and stash slots, and when they got a new one, they couldn't do anything with it. Now you can sell it. It's a lot of money. You know, these are real items that are probably some of the most useful in the game. Pets now show their DPS and HPS in their description. So healing or damage pets now have their own like actual DPS, HPS in the description. Makes it a lot more simpler to understand for the average player. You don't have to do your own math now. Replaced all NPCs in the hub with interactive models and added more to the hub itself. So a small hub rework, and also all the models look so nice. Please just go in game and watch them. They're pretty cool. You can now click 3D helmets. Oh my god. Oh my god. I could talk about this change for 50 hours. Oh my god. Like, people at the in-game are going to be celebrating. Like, they're going to hear claps, screams. This is just beautiful. Beautiful change. You can now finally quick swap Shattered Kingdom helmets, basically. 3D items such as pets, mounts, and Shattered Kingdom helmets now appear as 2D when in hand. It's just nice little change. It's gonna look a lot nicer. Tab list now includes previously hidden stats such as critical damage, loot boost, and fame boost. Just new stats that we're playing with. Critical damage only gets amplified by skill tree as of now, I believe, but look forward to maybe some new items, maybe some other stuff that could fiddle with these things. And critical damage is now based on per class rather than being a flat 50% increase all around. This is to balance class DPS. Some classes shouldn't be dealing as much damage as others. Like, you know, Arcanist should be dealing way more damage than Knight, for example. Just one of the most blatant examples. So, you know, this is also a good balancing change for us. And boss bars have been elevated to have a gap at the midpoint so you can accurately see the boss HP at all times. Amount of times I do like Loa and his fucking big ass face is in the middle of the screen, so I can't tell if he's invul or like face transition or whatever. That's gone. They're way easier to see now. You can always accurately tell how much HP like in the bar the boss has. I think that's it for 1.3. Probably maybe some stuff that we missed that wasn't super big or whatever. As per usual, the final patch notes are gonna be in the Discord in the hashtag, you know, Telos 1.3 update channel, usually all the way at the very top. Those are always the finalized patch notes. This is just me and, you know, Chris here trying to do something else, something extra for the community. Let us know what you guys think. If you want more, if you don't, and you hate us, and you never want us to do this again, just comment it, and we won't. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So, yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today. Any closing statements you would like to say here, Rolo?
Oh man, you guys just got to stick around. I've just got so many ideas I need to implement, and I'm going to implement. Just got to stick with me. We're gonna make something. We're gonna make something incredible. We will. We will.
I agree. As someone that's also working in the back, you know, behind the scenes, we have so much planned and already working on it, honestly. So just stay tuned. More and more updates to come. We're trying our hardest here. We all love this game and we all want it to be the best it can. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll hope to see you guys in a future patch random video. Take care. Goodbye.